Hi, we're going to be walking through the setup on a new G110 Grillo tractor here. This is the latest version with the what we're calling the active clutch system. So this is a little different clutch that's being introduced in March of 2015. So this is the way your tractor is going to arrive. Of course, it's going to be inside a corrugated cardboard box on a pallet. Typically, you're just going to slit the corners of the box, fold the cardboard down, and then roll the tractor out is the easiest way to do it. The tractor is fully serviced by us at Earth Tools. All the oil levels are up to proper levels. You just have to put fuel in it. So if you need to move the tractor quickly, all you have to do is fold these handlebars up so you can get a little more leverage on it to move them. By pushing down on the handlebar release, the handlebars will come up and then this will lock into the appropriate position. There's 4 height positions here that they can lock into. And once those are locked in at the appropriate height, you can roll the tractor around. The gear shift selector of the tractor is here. The F is the center position, and that's neutral. Just think of F as being free. Normally there are going to be longer shift rods hooked on here, but they're not shipped on the tractor from the factory. So we'll get into shifting later, but as long as it's in the F position, you'll be able to roll it. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to turn the handlebars around. Now the G110 is equipped with a smart reversing feature, and you can bring the camera around this side so we can see it. This is the forward and reverse linkage right here. It's connected via a cable up to the handlebars, and keep an eye on this while I pull it back and forth. So that's the forward and reverse mechanism right there. This would be the forward mode right now of the tractor. This would be reverse. Now I'm going to turn the handlebars around. This is the release lever right here up on the handlebars, this one on the bottom. So you push that down and hold it down while you rotate the handles. Now what's going to happen is this smart reverse system flips itself over as the handlebars reverse. So it automatically reverses the function of the reverse control right at the transmission. But you have to guide this cable around. If you just leave it alone, it's going to get itself hooked. So about halfway around, you need to kind of flip that cable over so it can go where it needs to go, and then bring that around. Now the function of that forward reverse is the opposite. So the handlebars know which way the tractor is going, aka smart. So now it's a little easier to counterbalance the engine with the handlebars on this side. We're now going to slip our shift levers into place. There they are bundled together. Now they give you 2 different colors here, but it really doesn't matter which one you put where, because the bottom ends of these things are the same. And whatever you get used to, you get used to. So I'm going to slide off the little pins and the levers. Or I'm sorry, the pins and the washers. Run this thing down. This little safety tube here is very important. Basically, the way this is formed, it's only going to let you assemble the shift lever to the rod in one location. So it's making me go to this side. That is, I cannot assemble it if it is like the other way, right, like that. It just won't come in from this side. You can't get it in there, as I am trying to demonstrate here. And actually this little O-ring that's on there doesn't need to be there. It's just to hold that thing on during shipping. It's irritating otherwise, but see, I can't get that thing in. It runs into this and I can't get the pin in. What this little tube does is it has a knob welded to the side that interfaces with the reverse lever. The idea of that is that when it's in this position here, it does not allow you to engage the PTO while in reverse, because they don't want you tilling your feet up. That's a very good feature. So we're going to slide this on here, and then of course put the washer and pin back on it. You'll notice that up here on the handlebars there are upper and lower holes for the shift rods to slide through. I typically always use the lower holes. It's just a little nicer angle. I also tend to put the shift rods through the joint on the far side. That is, I won't go on this side. If the rods are coming from this direction, I'll go ahead and bring these around the far side. It gives you just a hair more leverage on them. Kind of straightens out the angle a little bit. So, there it is. It's basically ready to run. Now, there's already some fuel in this engine, I know, but typically when you get them, there's not going to be enough fuel to really do much running. What you are going to have to do is turn on the fuel shutoff. This particular engine is the 14-horse Subaru, but the Honda also has a fuel shutoff. Here's the fuel shutoff control, so here's close, here's open. It was actually in the open position, but typically when you receive this thing from us, it's going to be closed. So open the fuel shutoff, put a little fuel in it, or fill the tank. You don't want to fill the tank 100%. All these newer engines have a certain vent element in the cap that doesn't like to get wet, so always keep your fuel at least 3/4 of an inch below the top of the tank. This particular G110 is also equipped with the front weight kit. This front weight kit is an option. Some of the owner's manuals show it on the tractor, but it is optional. It is not included with the tractor, so this one's already bolted on there. It's 6 individual plates, 2 curved and 4 straight. Adds about 36 pounds to the front of the machine to counterbalance heavier soil working implements, which that's what's going with this particular order. So, all right. Now to cover our control functions up here, we've got the clutch control. As I mentioned earlier, this is the new active clutch from Grillo. That means when you push this lever down, the machine starts to go if it's in gear. Basically, this engages the clutch together. This releases the clutch so that the no motion will happen. That is, no power will transfer to anything. So it's extremely basic to run. I mean, it's very easy. Just go, stop. The main thing to remember with the active clutch system is that you do not want to use the clutch as a speed control. The speed control of the tractor is controlled by the gear you're in or by the throttle speed you're at. The clutch needs to be engaged or disengaged. If you use the clutch like this and try to use it as a speed control to try to go slower, you're going to burn the clutch out prematurely. Clutches are not made for that. Same thing with a vehicle. You don't feather the clutch pedal in a vehicle too much, otherwise you're going to overheat the clutch. So to start the machine, let me back up. We're covering our control functions. So clutch, independent steering brakes, right and left. Of course, this was our handlebar rotation control, which I used to turn the handlebars all the way around. It also can be used to turn the handlebars off to either side. They have a lock-in to either side. Gear shift, we already looked at that. Reverse control, we already looked at that. Throttle. This is the power takeoff that engages your PTO, that is your whatever implement is on it. Obviously, as I said, these colors could switch back and forth. It really doesn't matter. It just depends on which one you put where. This final lever is the differential lock, which locks the 2 wheels together at the center of the axle for better traction. You won't need that too much typically, but it's a nice feature to have when you need it. So to start the machine, what I'm going to do is advance the throttle about halfway. Clutch is in the release position, so it couldn't go anywhere even if it was in gear, but we know it's in neutral. I'm going to choke it. There's a little choke knob there. Now I'm going to put it in gear. There's second gear. I'm going to depress the clutch lever. The machine's just going to start going. Let that up and stop. Very basic. If I want to reverse, I'll pull that back into reverse. It comes back in second gear, which is the same gear I'm already in. First gear. Sometimes getting into the gears requires a little finessing of the gear shift, just because of the way these transmissions are built. There are no synchronizers in these gears, so the gears have to be pretty much lined up in order to slide into place. So if you ever come up, if you're trying to put it in a particular gear position and it doesn't want to go in, you can either roll the tractor a little or just depress the clutch a little bit like that to get it to drop in. Now it's already dropped in, so we're locked. So that's first gear. Reverse. Gear forward. Third gear. Third gear reverse. And so on. You've noticed on the G110, I'm going to go ahead and kill this. The kill switch on the gas engines is actually pulling the throttle lever all the way back. That's idle, but if you pull it back further, it actually kills the engine. But we've noticed on the G110s that in your higher gear positions, for example, third and fourth, the angle of this rod doesn't completely correspond to the number, but you can find it. There's a notch that it drops into there. So that's neutral there. That's fourth. It actually looks like it's past fourth, but that's fourth gear. You can't mess up because there's only one notch it drops into there. So now we're going to go ahead and hook this up to an implement. And behind me here I've got an R2 Rinaldi 30-inch power Harrow, which is one of our more popular implements. This is already equipped with a quick coupling. The tractor is also equipped with a quick coupling, so I'm going to bring this back onto it. Now, I have got this power Harrow adjusted so that the roller is up off the ground. There's no weight resting on the roller. The weight of the power Harrow is resting right on the tines, and that's what you want to do when you're putting a power Harrow on and off. If the weight is going to rest on the roller as you're trying to install it to the tractor, the angle of your quick coupling is going to be wrong because it's going to be leaning the Harrow forward. So you just have to pay attention to geometry when you're working on these things and coupling them together. So I'll bring that together, give it a little up and down wiggle to sort of align the quick coupling as I bear back on it. There it is. Now I'm going to bring that back off and explain something. This flange can swivel. This allows when this implement is locked into the quick coupling and the pin dropped, it allows this implement to float a little bit to straighten out the contours of whatever you're working on. So the implement doesn't have to be dictated by where the tractor wheels are. Basically, if you're going over rough ground with the wheels, the implement will go ahead and flatten it out. So that's a great feature, but it can be slightly irritating sometimes when you're mounting the tractor or mounting the implement to the tractor, because if this thing were off to the side, that pin would not drop in that hole. So you have to just kind of visually look at where that pinhole is, kind of line it up as best you can. Bring this back on there. Drop the pin, and if it doesn't go all the way in the hole, it didn't go all the way in the hole because there's slop here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this Harrow up a little bit and wiggle it around. That's a tight one. There it went. It dropped in there, so it's just a tight one. I should have just wiggled it up and down. It probably would have dropped. So now we're on there. When you're using the Harrow, obviously you're not going to want to walk in your path, or I'm sorry, you're not going to want to walk in your bed, so you're going to offset the handlebars to the side. Harrow is a nice heavy tool. Tractor also comes with a green Shroud, which is totally decorative. Oops, don't want to pinch these. Bring those out to the side. Clips in at the top first, and just snaps down on there. Wow, looks so much nicer. Now it gets better mileage because it's more aerodynamic. Not. If you see this inspected sticker on the tractor when you get it, it means that I have personally gone over the tractor. And that goes on every tractor that goes out of here. I don't put my name on it because I'm the only one who inspects tractors here. So, center this back up. Now, if we wanted to put a mowing implement on this tractor, of course, we would switch the implement and then we would turn the handlebars back around. And I'm going to walk again. I'm going to walk one time through turning the handlebars around. So we're going to pull our two pins off. And drop our pin on the floor because that's what you do in real life. You know, nobody actually keeps a hold of those pins. See, I dropped it again on the other side because, again, we're trying to mimic real life here. Usually you drop it in gravel where you can't find it. So now that those are released, I'm not going to pull those all the way out. I'm just going to let them hang there. I'm going to push this down and I'm going to keep that depressed the entire rotation. Because if I was to let up on this lever and then continue moving it, what will happen is the locking pin will scrape this decal right off of there and make it real ugly. So I'm going to keep that down the whole time. When about halfway around, I'm going to reach down here and flip my reverse cable around. And there you go. Now, in order to plug the PTO lever back in, I've got to spin this around. No problem. Washers in here. See if I can avoid dropping these pins since I've already done my allotment of that today. There we go. Now, I'm going to bring these handles up to an appropriate height. Go ahead and start this thing back up. So obviously we still have a power harrow on it, but let's just pretend it's a mower for a minute. Since I'm going to be moving this thing, I'm going to go ahead and crank this roller up so it raises the harrow off the ground and I'm not dragging up the concrete. It gets ugly. So put it in gear. Forward. Reverse. That's second gear. Here's first gear. Reverse. Forward. The smart reverse makes it so that this is always forward and pulled back is always reverse. You don't have to think about what direction you're going in. Another thing to keep in mind is that your independent steering brakes, which control, it brakes one or the other wheel, these brakes are going to be accurate on this machine when you are in the mowing mode. So if the handlebars are like they are right now, this is going to be your left side brake that turns you left. This is your right side brake that turns you right. When you turn the handlebars back around to the soil working position, the brakes are going to be backwards. There's just nothing you can do about that because they're going to be backwards in one mode or the other. The fact is, typically you're using the brakes more for mowing than you are soil working, so that's why they're mounted in this fashion. And I think that concludes this segment. Enjoy your new G110 Grillo tractor.